Hello, welcome back. I'm doing this one handheld because I'm just kind of in a hurry. Let's see. This is Wrath by Scott Kish, Drew Smith, and Emmy Uterra. I can't read that. Anyway, all right. This is the first of several books that I kind of consider somewhat homespun. I use homespun because I don't want to say anything derogatory about, the artwork isn't what you're used to from DC House style or maybe some other artists, where they're just as expressive as more well-known artists, but they're just not. I don't know. They're just not acclaimed. So, and there might be little problems with the artwork in this book. Just to get the negatives out of the way, I found a couple of lettering errors, and I don't mean like spelling errors. I mean, like balloons that don't follow. I don't remember where those are because I read this like a month and a half ago. But to jump into the story, it's a good story about, or it's a good. This volume one is a good introduction to, in three parts. It's sort of a three-act book, so it's got a simple structure to it. We've got our teenage procrastinator. That's redundant. No, protagonist. Our teenage protagonist and his girlfriend. Let's see. It's got a bit of depth to him. There is a lot of standard growing up stuff in this book. It's the dealing with the monster inside, but one of the things about growing up is learning how to deal with your emotions, and so this book takes that and as a form of sci-fi externalizes it. So Doug here, he's dealing with his girlfriend. Just to open it up, they have a few words where something awkward is said. She doesn't realize that she's touching on a nerve that has to do with him losing in some way, either probably divorce, losing his father after an abusive situation, and we're shown flashbacks just a little at a time of that abusive situation. Much of the abuse focused on his mother, but then it's made out like his mother was stepping in to defend him. So, excuse me. On his way home, when he's in a bad mood, because he's a teenager, he's like always in a bad mood. But on his way home from the girlfriend's house, he makes a shortcut that he doesn't ever take at night, and essentially gets mugged by a couple of teenagery thugs for his bike. Maybe they're in their 20s. Another flashback to violence with his father, and his mom intervening this time, or in this flashback. He gets home to his mother and his stepfather, so his mother is remarried. And of course, he doesn't want to talk because he's a teenager. And this, I thought, if it's not an accident, is a really cool, deliberate thing in the artwork. As he's going upstairs, you can see there's perspective, angle on the body. Everything's sort of out of warp. That could be an accident, but it could also be deliberate. That he looks like a little kid here, which totally makes sense. He looks like an 8-year-old or something like that. And if that's done deliberately, that's a really good move, where emotionally he's still stuck somewhere with being 8 or whatnot. Anyway, so he falls asleep for the night, and while he is asleep, kind of like Forbidden Planet, if you remember that old film, a creature comes out of him. And this creature essentially is like his id, his uncontrolled id. So there we are. And the creature goes and wreaks revenge on his behalf. So the two thugs in the woods fight this creature that's come out of him and even shoot at it. Where is he? They're shooting at him. The bullets sort of go through the creature, and then they run, get the attention of police and whatnot. So the next day, as he's exhausted in bed, there we go, let's flip through real quick. Nicole comes over. His mother is told, that she wasn't told exactly the whole story before, and that we're now into the third act where Nicole takes Doug out to examine what happened in the woods, because they're all looking at the incident and whatnot. His bike is found in the woods, and there's a cliffhanger there as the two of them missed the page, as the two of them run off. See if I can get that for you. Yeah, because he realizes something. Now, in one of the pages I skipped, he does have a bit of a extra wound, or like a bruise spot on his shoulder, which is where the creature would have been shot, if I remember correctly. So, this is an introduction to the characters in 3 acts, and it's a basic growing up story. He's learning how to deal with the emotions inside, and discovering sort of that letting your emotions inside run wild like this can have really big consequences. This is a teenagery thing to grow up through. It's just all done visually instead of in therapy sessions or whatever. So just a minute, I'll be back in a sec. See if I can pause this. So if you've never focus, are we in focus? Focus. Thank you. If you've never seen the film Forbidden Planet, I strongly recommend it. It's an old classic sci-fi, and it deals with a man's uncontrolled id that comes out of him, and it's a similar theme, except that he doesn't get hurt bodily. It's a good classic theme. So I like how they handled it in terms of in this book. I like how, I think it's going to be Scott Kish is the writer. I like how he handled this theme of the id inside, just because he's developing character, and he's not really preaching, he's demonstrating. There's really nothing preached yet, the book isn't that far along. He is demonstrating the worry and the problem, and worry and insecurity are what sort of characterize Doug for the most part. He's aloof, and just I'm surprised he has a girlfriend, to be honest. So anyway, with that in mind, I'm interested in looking at issue 2, which I think is just finishing on IndieGoGo. This should be available through Wicked. Oh, I like the creature. I do like he's all blue and sparkly and whatnot. So I think there's really not a lot more to say, other than they're doing good characterization on a worthwhile topic. So there we are. Oh, as far as the artwork goes, I said there was some, it's expressive, and that's good. It's a little bit gooey here and there, not a problem. So I'm looking forward to number 2. I actually have to go back it still. That's me. I just got to get on my calendar and do it. You can still get number 1 with the number 2 campaign that's going on, or that's ending really soon. Otherwise, try to track it down on the Wicked site. All right, thank you.